Presented by Cursed by the Witch. Warning, use headphones before listening to horror podcast story.
The Forgotten Crypt is a chilling tale of mystery, horror, and ancient curses. Set in a small, historic town, the story revolves around a group of explorers who stumble upon a long-forgotten crypt hidden beneath the town's oldest cemetery. As they venture deeper into the crypt's decaying tunnels, they awaken an ancient evil that has been waiting centuries for release. The tale unfolds in layers of terror, revealing a dark past, cursed souls, and a fate worse than death that lies within the crypt's shadowy depths. Part 1. The Discovery of the Crypt. The story begins in the town of Gravesend, an old, somewhat forgotten place that has seen better days. Once a bustling settlement during the colonial era, it has since fallen into obscurity. However, the town's cemetery, which dates back hundreds of years, remains one of its few notable features. Filled with cracked tombstones and decaying mausoleums, the cemetery holds a sinister allure, rumored to be haunted by the restless dead. The protagonist, Ethan, is a history enthusiast and amateur archaeologist. After hearing about the cemetery's strange history, he gathers a small group of friends, Lena, a photographer with an eye for the eerie, and Mark, a skeptic with a knack for solving puzzles. Together, they set out to explore the cemetery and uncover any hidden secrets it might hold. One foggy evening, while walking through the overgrown graveyard, they come across a dilapidated mausoleum that appears older than the rest. Its stone entrance is nearly buried under centuries of dirt and ivy, but upon closer inspection, they find a rusted iron door hidden beneath the growth. The group, fueled by curiosity, manages to pry the door open. A cold, musty breeze escapes from within, and they shine their flashlights down into the darkness below. Stairs lead deep underground, disappearing into the shadows. Against their better judgment, they decide to descend. Part 2. Entering the crypt. As they make their way down the crumbling stone steps, the air grows colder, and a sense of dread begins to settle in. The stairs lead to a narrow passageway, lined with ancient stone carvings that depict grotesque, nightmarish scenes of torment and death. Strange symbols are etched into the walls, symbols none of them recognize but that fill them with unease. At the end of the passageway, they find a massive iron gate, its rusted bars bent and corroded with age. Beyond the gate lies a vast underground chamber, the Forgotten Crypt. Dust hangs in the air, and the room is filled with ancient sarcophagi, their lids carved with the likenesses of the long dead. In the center of the crypt is a large, ornate coffin that stands out from the rest. It is adorned with strange runes and symbols, much like the ones they saw in the passageway. Lena, fascinated by the airy beauty of the crypt, begins to take photographs while Mark examines the runes. Ethan, however, feels a growing sense of unease. Something about the crypt feels wrong, unnatural, as though they have disturbed something that should have been left forgotten. As they explore, strange things begin to happen. Lena's camera malfunctions, capturing only dark, blurry images, while Mark claims to hear faint whispers coming from the walls. Ethan tries to dismiss these occurrences as tricks of the mind, but the deeper they delve into the crypt, the more unsettling the atmosphere becomes. Part 3. The Awakening. Driven by his curiosity, Ethan decides to examine the ornate coffin in the center of the crypt. The carvings on its surface seem to tell a story, a tale of a powerful nobleman who made a pact with dark forces to gain immortality. However, the pact came with a terrible price. The nobleman's soul was bound to the crypt, forever cursed to guard its secrets. As Ethan traces the runes with his fingers, the air around them grows colder, and the whispers grow louder, now impossible to ignore. Lena, now visibly shaken, urges them to leave. But it's too late. In a moment of reckless curiosity, Mark Price opened the lid of the coffin. Inside lies a skeletal figure, draped in decayed finery, its hollow eye sockets staring upward in eternal silence. The body appears undisturbed, as though it has been waiting for centuries. Suddenly, the temperature drops sharply, and an overwhelming sense of dread fills the crypt. The whispers turn into guttural voices, and the stone walls seem to tremble as if alive. The air grows thick with the stench of decay, and the candles they had placed around the room flicker out, plunging them into near-total darkness. In the faint light of their flashlights, they see something horrifying. The skeletal figure in the coffin begins to move, its bones creaking as it rises from its eternal slumber. The whispers become a deafening roar, as though the crypt itself is awakening along with the cursed being inside. Part 4. The Curse of the Crypt. The creature in the coffin is no mere skeleton, it is a revenant, a cursed soul bound to the crypt for eternity. Its glowing, hollow eyes fix on the group, and a deep, guttural growl fills the chamber. The revenant's presence is suffocating, a manifestation of centuries-old evil that has been waiting for someone foolish enough to disturb it. As the creature steps out of the coffin, the crypt begins to shift. The stone walls seem to close in, and the once sturdy iron gate slams shut, trapping them inside. The group is now sealed in the crypt with the ancient evil they have unleashed. Ethan tries to calm everyone down, but panic takes hold. Mark attempts to reason with the revenant, but the creature has no interest in words. It is a being of vengeance, bound by its curse to punish anyone who dares enter its domain. The group scrambles to find an escape, but the crypt is a labyrinth of narrow passages and dead ends, each one filled with the bones of those who came before them. As they run, the crypt seems to warp and twist around them, as though the very structure is alive, a malevolent force feeding off their fear. The walls bleed shadows, and the whispers follow them wherever they go, growing louder and more menacing with each passing second. Part 5. Confronting the Revenant. Ethan realizes that they cannot simply run from the Revenant. The creature is bound to the crypt, and the only way to survive is to find a way to break the curse. Desperate for answers, they return to the ornate coffin, where Ethan believes the secret to defeating the Revenant lies. As they race back to the central chamber, the Revenant stalks them through the twisting tunnels. Its skeletal hands reach out from the shadows, grasping at them as they narrowly escape. Lena stumbles and falls, her flashlight skittering across the floor as the creature's cold breath brushes against her neck. Mark pulls her to her feet just in time, and they continue their frantic escape. When they reach the central chamber, Ethan examines the runes once more. He realizes that the nobleman's pact with the dark forces can be undone, but only by offering a willing soul to take the Revenant's place. It is a terrible choice. One of them must stay behind, bound to the crypt forever, in order to free the others. As the Revenant closes in, its hollow eyes glowing with malice, the group is faced with an impossible decision. Ethan, feeling responsible for awakening the creature, volunteers to stay behind. But before he can act, Mark, overcome with guilt for having opened the coffin, steps forward. He tells Ethan and Lena to go, knowing that this is the only way they will survive. With a heavy heart, Ethan and Lena leave Mark behind. As they flee the crypt, the iron gate opens, and they escape into the night. Behind them, they hear Mark's final scream as the crypt seals itself once more. Part 6. The Aftermath. Ethan and Lena emerge from the cemetery, shaken and scarred by their ordeal. The once quiet town of Gravesend now feels haunted by the memory of the crypt and the horrors that lie within. They try to move on with their lives, but neither of them can forget the events of that night. In the days that follow, strange things begin to happen around town. People report hearing whispers in the cemetery, and some claim to see glowing eyes watching from the shadows. The crypt, it seems, is not entirely sealed. The curse has not been broken, it has simply changed. Ethan is haunted by the knowledge that the crypt still holds its dark secrets. The revenant may be gone, but the curse remains. And one day, it will claim another soul. The Forgotten Crypt is a dark and atmospheric story that blends ancient curses, haunted places, and the terror of the unknown. The crypt itself is a character, a malevolent presence that feeds off the fear and suffering of those who enter. The tale leaves readers with a lingering sense of dread. As the crypt's curse is never truly broken, it merely waits for the next victim to stumble into its depths.
Thank you for watching. Just like and subscribe.